Today we're working on mean, median, and mode. And some of those are words you may have heard before, but we want to make sure we have a good understanding of what they mean because they're used quite often when you're doing statistics. So we're taking notes today, starting on page 5. If you need extra time before you go on to the next slide, make sure you pause your video so you have time to write the definitions down. Mean is a synonym for average, and mean is the sum of the data divided by the number of items in the data set. And I'll explain more about what that means with an example in a few minutes. Median, the middle number in a set of data that's written in order. An easy way to remember this is the median is the yellow line down the middle of the road. Mode, the mode is the data item that occurs most often. And the range, the highest value minus the lowest value. Pause the video if you need more time to write that down. Okay, so now we are going to find the mean, median, mode, and range of the following grades. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite those numbers in order from least to greatest. So the smallest number I see is 67. And when I do that, I'm going to cross out the numbers as I use them so I don't rewrite them. 76, 86, 88, 91, 98, 100. Okay, so the first one it asks for is the mean. So grab your calculator and add up the 7 numbers. All right, so on your calculator, 67 plus 76 plus 86 plus 88 plus 91 plus 98 plus 100. And when you do that, you get 606. And now I have to divide that total by however many numbers I added. So in this case, I added up 7 numbers. So I have to take 606 and divide it by 6. Now when I take that and divide it, or not divide it by 6, divide it by 7, I get a number that goes on forever on my calculator screen. And when that happens, I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. That means I'm going to have one number after my decimal point. So I have 86, and when I look at my calculator, there's a 5 after the decimal point, but I look at its neighbor, and its neighbor is a 7, and so that means I'm going to round my 5 up to a 6. So the mean, or average, is 86 and 6/10. The next thing it asks for is the median. So I have to find the number that's in the middle. So 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So the number in the middle is 88. Next thing it asks for is the mode. Now in this particular problem, all 7 numbers are different. So I write no mode. And then the very last thing it asks me to do is find the range. And the range is the largest number minus the smallest number. So 100 minus 67. So use your calculator or do it in your head. And that answer is 33. Okay, here is another set. Okay. So on this set, the first thing you need to do is put the numbers in order. Now, when I write them, I'm not going to include dollar signs, and I'm not even going to write the numbers after the decimal point because all of them are zeros. So I have 5, 5, 10, and 12. So then I'm going to write over here the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. So my mean, I have to add up those numbers. So 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 10 is 20, plus 10 is 32. So I have 32 divided by 4. I'm dividing by 4 because I have 4 numbers. And 32 divided by 4 is 8. The median, here and here, here and here, well, there's 2 numbers in the middle. So I have to think to myself, what's halfway between 5 and 10? And so the easiest way to do that, if you don't know it in your head, is to add those 2 numbers together. 5 plus 10 equals 15, and then divide that by 2, and I get 7.5, or in this case, $7.50, since it's money. The mode. Is there any numbers that are there more than the others? And the answer to that question is yes. I have 2 5s, and there are nothing else that I have doubles of. The range, that is the high minus the low. So 12 minus 5 equals 7. Now the next term we're going to talk about is called an outlier. It starts with the word out, and you relate that word probably with outside. And that's an easy way to help remember it. An outlier is an extreme value in a set of data. For example, in this list of numbers, 23, 34, 27, 33, 121, 121 is an outlier. It is much different than all the others. Sometimes that outlier is much bigger, other times it's much smaller. The next thing we need to understand is when each measure is most useful, because sometimes I want to use the mean, and other times the median is a better choice, or possibly the mode. So the mean is best used when the data are spread out fairly evenly. So if you looked at all your numbers, they're all kind of clustered in the same area, kind of spread out evenly. The median, if the data set has an outlier or is not spread out very evenly, meaning you have chunks of numbers, but then maybe there's places where you're missing numbers. The mode, the data involve a subject in which many data points of one value are important, such as the results of an election. In the results of the election, I'm not going to use the median or the mean. I'm going to use who has the most votes, which one was the most of. Okay. Hey, in this question, it says, how many times do you go to the movies in a year? And you can see all the different answers. It says, which number best represents the data, the mean or the median, and why? Without doing any calculations, we want to be able to identify this. And we want to identify that we have the number 24 here, which is a lot different than the others. That means it is an outlier. And because I have an outlier, I want to use the median, okay? Because my mean would be thrown off because that number is so large, okay? So the median, because I have, whoops, misspelled that. An outlier. Okay, I want you to pause the video and I want you to find the mean, median, mode, and range for problem number 1 and problem number 2, and then restart it so that you can check your answer. Remember, the first thing you have to do is put your numbers in order before solving. Okay, so on number 1, I asked you to find the mean, median, mode, and range. So you had 5 numbers right here, and you had to take those 5 numbers and put them in order. So 4, 7, 9, 10, and 10. And once you did that, you could solve the rest. So the mean was 8. So when you added them all up, you got 40, divided it by 5, and you get 8. The median, the number in the middle, was 9. The mode is 10 because there's 2 of them. And the range is 6, 10 minus 4. On number 2, it says find the mean, median, and mode. Which one best represents his grades? Explain. And it gives Jaden's test scores. So you had to take his test scores and put them in order. And so we have 50, and then we have 80, and then we've got 86, 87, 88, 90, 95, and 95. And so once you put them in order, you can go about answering the questions. So in this one, you had to add them all up, and then you divided by 8 because there were 8 numbers. In this particular one, you rounded off your answer. The mean was 83 and 9/10. The median was 87 and 5/10, or you could use a fraction, 87 and a half. There were 2 numbers in the middle, so halfway between 87 and 88 is 87 and a half. The mode is 95 because it's there more than the others. Now it says which one best describes his grade, and the best one to use is the median. And the reason is because you have the outlier, and they talk about that over here on the side. But he had one test, that 50, that was way different than all the others. And that's what we call an outlier. And because of that, look at the difference it made in the 83 and 9/10 versus 87 and 5/10. That's a big difference. So 87 and 5/10 is a better descriptor of how Jaden would do on his test. On this page, it's just a review of what we've talked about. So it shows you how to work out the mean, median, and mode. And it gives you 2 examples for median. One when you have 2 numbers in the middle, and one where you have 1 number in the middle. And then also how to find the range. Okay, the next couple pages look like this. We're not doing anything with them today, but you can use them to refer to when you're working on your Kahoot tomorrow. So there are 3 pages like this. This page here is your assignment. So you have 8 questions to answer. And it does tell you up here at the top to round to the nearest tenth. That means 1 number after the decimal point if you need to round.